So now my list just keeps growing and growing. Yeah, okay, so I've got lists. It's that time of year to make lists. What's best about lists? Best thing about a list? You can check it off, you can cross it off. It's great. You feel like you accomplished something. I never get that opportunity. You might be surprised to know this, but if I make a list, I can't find it anywhere. It disappears. Or I can't remember which notebook I wrote it in, which bag I stuck it in. And so it makes me wonder, how important was that list to begin with? You know, we're in this season where we're reminded, we have things to do, things to look for, things to do, things to obey. And, you take a moment, and you have two choices. When, for example, looking at this tree, we can look closely and focus in on it, and look and see if there's anything missing. We can make our vision narrow and pinpoint something on there, maybe that, maybe I should move that over there. And we become critical. Or we can back up a little bit and broaden what we're looking at. Take in everything around it. It's kind of like how I make my list, and I've got stocking stuffers, decorations, even a few gift ideas for myself. Some party decorations, and now that Vespers CD, DVD that I've got to find out if there is one. Or maybe my list should just consist of love, listening, time, hope. The most important things. We don't really need to make a list for them. They should just be there. It reminds me, thinking of this, it reminds me of what I've heard and what I've probably already shared before about how you can go days without food. You can go a few days without water. You can go a few minutes without air. But you can't make it a few seconds without hope. And we're reminded of that this Christmas season. But why aren't we reminded of that every day? Why don't we make Christmas season our everyday? So I just want to share with you. In Luke chapter 21, verse 27, then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. We focus too much on the little things that don't matter. We just narrow in on the little things that aren't important. We're going to miss it. We're going to miss what God gives us each and every day. Thankful for this Christmas season as a reminder. But this should be our everyday. You see, God dropped into this world to have a relationship with us. And that relationship spreads. If we're watching, if we're listening, we wait. It's there. Will you pray with me? God, you blessed us with so many things. And yet sometimes we walk right by them because we get distracted and we're looking for something else on our list. Help us to take a step back. Help us to take it all in. Help us to accept your love, be an example of your love. continue that relationship that you want to have with us all during this Christmas season and every day after. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
My words for you today come from the book of Jeremiah, Old Testament prophet. And it's my nature to want to explain where it is in the story here so that we hear them in context. Jeremiah was called to speak for God when he was a teenager, in a very troubling time in the life of Israel and Judah. Armies from the north, or from the east, from Persia, Babylon, have come in and taken much of the territory. And at the time that this is written, they're outside the city walls of Jerusalem. A siege has been laid upon Jerusalem. It's just a matter of time. And Jerusalem will be overrun, the city destroyed, its inhabitants killed or taken in captivity, the temple destroyed. Jeremiah has been ridiculed, laughed at, beaten. Right now, he's locked up in the care of the palace guard basically for treason, for he's telling the truth of what is to come. Now it's coming true, the destruction. And yet, into this destruction so very apparent and so imminent in their lives, God speaks again to Jeremiah these words. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will fulfill the gracious promise I made to the house of Israel and to the house of Judah. In those days and at that time, I will make a righteous branch sprout from David's line. He will do what is just and right in the land. In those days, Judah will be saved and Jerusalem will live in safety. This is the name by which it will be called, the Lord, our righteousness. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. And it is the words that begin the season of Advent, the beginning of this new church year. Now, you might be going, oh, come on, Pastor. Come, we already got the Christmas tree up. We should be singing carols and enjoying the season. But it's not time. It's not time yet to celebrate the birth of the child, Jesus. So you see, Advent challenges us to realize that this time that we're in is a child born in a manger a long, long time ago. The Messiah who is to return one day. And the Christ who takes life, birth in our hearts to live. Advent challenges us to see the bigger picture here of the hope that lies before us. You know, historically, we can look at this story and recognize the destruction of Jerusalem, and this is when the people are taken into captivity. This is about 600 years before Jesus was born. What's 600 years to God, where 1,000 years are like a day, right? And so this time as we mark it marches on, but yet this time is kind of twisted and mangled because it's God's time. And here we are in it, remembering and yet looking forward. Maybe not to the distant future, maybe to the next moment. When God breaks into our hearts. If we would but open the way for God to speak to our hearts. If you notice, I told you that Jeremiah was locked up. He was in prison. This time, when God spoke. There's sort of a tradition that Paul often, while locked up in prison, confined, however, is when he had his moments of clarity, if you will, as the love of God. And I really think it's because he was confined that he took pen to paper to record. And then we are blessed with these letters that Paul offers. There are other examples in the 20th century of people locked up to be silenced, who had profound moments with God. Dr. Martin Luther King, Birmingham jail. Nelson Mandela, South Africa. For example. God speaks to our hearts when we choose to be still enough and open enough to listen, to truly listen, to hear His word for us. This word today of this hope in the midst of what seemed like everything falling apart. Life, as those folks in Jerusalem knew it, was coming to an end very quickly. But we understand that as well. We understand what it is to have things be topsy-turvy. Last night, when those storms passed very close to home for us, you begin to take account of what's important. I didn't care about anything standing down there. What was nice to know that our sons and their families were out of harm's way. Stuff can be rebuilt. And then if we look at the world around us right now, and look at the state of affairs in this nation, even how we are being so polarized and divided and splintered into groups. There is no unifying force that I can see holding us together. And so we start to fall apart. We have these outbreaks of horrendous violence where someone thinks it's the right thing to do to take up arms and to go in and start shooting innocent people for no good reason. And it becomes the cry of my heart. My God, where are you? In the midst of it. Through Jeremiah's words, we're given this word of hope. Jeremiah is that one light, that one candle burning, the candle of hope in Jerusalem at that time, saying that this isn't the end, there's more. That this is all in God's hand and we're in God's hand and it all works out. In fact, if you read just a few more verses past this passage for today, God says he is so strong in his hold on the promises that he's made to his people, his covenants, that even though the people break them, he says if the sun rises and then night falls, as long as that continues, then my covenant is sure. And he goes on to say that his servant out of the house of David will be sure, and that there will be priests such as the Levites that would be innumerable like the sands of the seashore and the stars of the sky. Well, where have we heard that before? That's back in the story of Abraham, with when God takes Abraham out to show him the sky. He said, that's how many your family will be. God said, my priests will be that way. But we're told in the New Testament, through Paul and through the letter of Hebrews, that we are a priesthood of believers. What is being alliterated there in Jeremiah is us. We who will follow this branch, this shoot that will rise up out of the destruction. And so we're given this image of a tree that's lived its days, died in the storm much as last night, leveled to the ground. And yet, from the remains, the roots, the broken stump that lies there, new life begins to sprout up. And it's that image I like of that tender shoot rising up. That's who we associate with being Jesus, this child born in a manger, who comes to be King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So delicate beginning of new life. It's not a sudden, boom, here's a brand new, huge, magnificent tree. But this tender little shoot that rises up from below, from the roots, from that which is the anchor, that which feeds and gives them life. And that, my friends, is the very love of God. And so we're given those images as well in our words. Paul uses those images too, of the root of our faith being rooted down into the love of God. And so here we are in the first Sunday of Advent, being encouraged to see beyond just the approaching celebrations of the season and the reminding of the birth of the Son, to the bigger picture of God's love that does not rest, does not end, but holds us and invites us to come, to discover, to know that we are safely held in that no matter what life and death throws at us, we are eternal. We have that hope for our righteousness lies in what God has done, is doing, and will do for us. It begins with the birth of the Son, Jesus. And it will end when Christ returns to call us all home. Welcome, my friends, to the season of Advent. May you, during this season, feel the blessed presence of the love of our God calling upon your heart to come closer, to be loved completely and eternally by our God. Hallelujah. And amen. So with that, we come to this time of prayer. Are there particular prayer requests today? Here, go ahead. On Thursday?
Or Tuesday.
Tuesday.